it seemed odd to me that this book would come from you at first, because architecture it's science.
I think that what architects do that most people don't realize they do is that they see patterns that then allow them to problem solve in a different way. So if I'm just trying to describe the dynamic of what an architect does, they look at a set of criteria and they look for how do I create something more interesting or more effective given those parameters and given those criteria. And so we think of architects as dealing with the built environment and creating better living places, better workplaces. But actually we can use that process of thinking to redesign almost anything. And so one of the things that I believe some of the most powerful and influential architects of all history have done is they've applied their thinking process to other very different types of issues. And in fact, there are a number of architects right now who are looking at, for example, the issues of global warming or sustainability, but they're taking what they understand about how to think about something and applying it to a very different type of problem. That's what I'm doing with life. What I see right now is an enormous number of people unbelievably frustrated with the quantity of stuff flying at them every day, and not a moment to breathe. They don't even have, I mean, thinking about what would they love to do, I mean, that's like pie in the sky to most people, because we can't even answer all of our emails. You know, there's just no way. Well, what I'm seeing with my architect's glasses on is we have a big problem, and we can't see our way out of it because we're so embedded in the problem itself. But I can see that the issue is really that we haven't learned how to relate to time effectively. It's about, this is really, in fact, one of the earlier subtitles for this book was It's About Time. It truly is about how we engage our lives in time. So we've talked about, in my previous books, the third dimension, the 3 dimensions of space that affect us. This is about the 4th dimension, about time. And so it's actually a translation of exactly the same issues, but now to this next dimension up of how we involve ourselves in everything that we do.
Every chapter has a little drawing in it. Are those yours?
They are, yes.
I was hoping, because I looked around, I couldn't see anyone else getting credit for it, so I thought, I bet those are hers.
Yeah.
And it made sense. Every once in a while I would stop in a chapter, look back at the picture and go, it's starting to make sense now.
Yeah. So this actually, each chapter is begun with a principle from the Not So Big House series. Actually, it's from the book called Home by Design, which is really this compendium of all of the principles that I talk about throughout the Not So Big House series. There's a perfect parallel between the architectural principles I talk about and the life design principles. And so I'll give you one example just to give a sense, and one that actually the editor that I worked with at Random House was very powerfully moved by. I talk about light to walk toward in my architecture books. It's not just a near-death experience. We are literally programmed physiologically to move towards light. And so architects use this idea all the time. They'll put a lighted painting or a window at the end of a vista or a hallway, and you want to walk down that hallway. You're drawn towards that light. Well, in the same way, in our everyday lives, once we understand what it feels like to be completely present and engaged in the moment, when we are 100% doing what we're doing and we're alive because of that, we're feeling so vital, that presence is the equivalent of the light to walk toward. We're physiologically programmed to move towards light. We're physiologically programmed to this inspiration that comes from being in the moment. So they're very, very parallel. And just as we don't understand that notion of light to walk toward until I say it, we don't understand that all this talk about be here now, which sounds so, sort of like, yeah, I've heard that before. But when you actually experience it, you go, oh, yeah, that makes an enormous amount of sense. I love this. And so I ask people in the book first to recollect moments when they really have been 100% there. Maybe they were watching a sunset, or maybe they were You know, I tell a story of when I was transfixed by a beautiful plate in a store window. It's all kinds of crazy things can do this to us, you know, where we just feel like, oh, wow, I feel so alive as I'm looking at whatever this is, or I'm participating, or maybe it's a piece of music. You know, a lot of people get transformed by that moment of epiphany. So those are moments when we were 100% there. Once we've got that sort of as a marker in our heads, then we start to realize, gosh, can I live more of my life that way? I would go for that. That's what it's all about. It's about really delighting in every moment of our lives.
The book is The Not So Big Life, and the subtitle, Making Room for What Really Matters. You've got a website people can go to.
I do. It's at notsobiglife.com, and there's a lot of support. It's almost 50% of the book, really. You can talk with me. I'm conversing right now with a whole bunch of people that are reading the book and helping them to really metabolize what's there. So it's, I think, got some real valuable insights and additional pieces for people.
The book is The Not So Big Life, Making Room for What Really Matters. I've been speaking with the author, Sarah Susanka, and The Not So Big Life, published by Random House.